Greetings guys, gals, and non-binary pals. Today it is Monday, and on Mondays I have decided I'm going to sit down and do my makeup with you while I talk about something that I think is really important and that is making me really angry in a bit more detail than I can do over on TikTok. So, welcome. Please sit down and get mad with me, but also get educated at the same time. We can use this information to inform each other. A little disclaimer is I'm not a makeup artist. I don't really know what I'm doing. I make it up, and please don't come for how I do it because I don't know what I'm doing. Okay, the thing that is bothering me at the moment is firearms in the US and their gun laws. And the reason this is bothering me so much at the moment is that I made a TikTok about it recently, where I said, that the rates of gun violence is much lower in other places in the world than in the US. I always get Americans commenting like, guns are important, we need them for self-defense, it's our right to have them. I've had people say that they cause less harm than they create, which is ridiculous considering guns were literally invented to kill people. So that is an absolutely illogical thing to say. And just all the arguments they have are just so full of holes and they're so stupid. And I just wanted to talk about it in more detail because I can't really address it properly on TikTok because I only have a minute to talk and there's so much to say. And these people come at you and saying that, you don't have any sources, you don't have any facts when they don't have any themselves. And it's really hard to disprove them in such a short amount of time. And it's really hard to, they don't listen. So I thought I'd make a bit of a video here, and I know that if there are any conservative pro-gun Americans watching this, which I doubt it, they're just going to attack me in the comments, they're not going to listen to what I have to say, but I thought that, we should all be at least educated as much as we can be so that we can address these people when they present themselves. I just wanted to talk about this because it is bothering me a lot at the moment, and I think, they're not going to be watching this and they're not going to go out of their way to watch this other than just to comment something without watching the video. But I think it's important for us all to be educated and aware. And, there might be some people who are sort of on the fence about how they feel, and maybe this is going to help you sort of see a bit more clearly. I don't know. But yeah, so that's what I want to talk about today. So first I'll go into sort of what I see people saying to defend guns. You see people saying things like, they're bad people and if they want to kill people, they're going to do it regardless of whether they have a gun or not. And I don't really think that's true at all. That seems like such an illogical argument to have because, firstly, if you're going to use any other weapon, you have to be in close contact with them. Like, you have to be closer to them. And if you use a knife, you have to be standing very close to them and you actually have to physically do something. And I don't think a lot of people are willing to do that. There's a lot higher chance of surviving being stabbed than there is being shot. So even if someone does stab someone, the chances of them living is so much higher. And mass shootings, right? You can't kill a room full of people in less than 5 minutes with a knife or anything other than a gun. A gun is the only thing capable of killing large amounts of people in a short amount of time. And I saw someone say, they're like, well, if we get rid of guns, then there'll just be more knife violence, like in the UK. And you already have knife violence. You have knife violence and gun violence. It's not like gun violence is the only violence you have. It's so stupid. A lot of people who shoot people aren't going to stab people. They shoot people because it's easy and they can do it from a distance, but they don't feel like they're actually killing someone, They don't have to touch that person. They don't have to look that person in the eyes. They don't have to be within close proximity. So it removes that. It's so much less personal and it's so much easier to do something that's not personal. It's like why people can say mean things online but not to someone's face because there's distance. It's not face to face. It's so much harder to stab someone than it is to shoot someone. So already that argument is flawed. And again, like I say, you can't have a mass shooting with a knife or anything other than a gun. In terms of numbers and people saying that, it's not an issue and it helps more people than it harms. I don't know if you're aware, but Really quick, I'm going to talk about statistics because I feel like I should start with that to sort of present how bad the issue is. The US makes up for 14.6% of all gun-related deaths in the world, and they have the second highest number of all gun-related deaths in the world. And yes, they have a large population, but that's still absolutely phenomenally ridiculous. The population of China makes up for nearly 20% of the world, and they aren't even in the top 10. They aren't even close to having anywhere near the number of deaths as America. So population, don't even come at me with you having a large population, because there are other countries with huge populations that don't have anywhere near as many gun-related deaths, so you can shut it. The US has by far the highest percentage of gun deaths in the developed world, with second being Finland, and Finland have less than half the amount of gun deaths per capita as the US do. So the US also have the highest rate of homicide in the developed world, and of that, 73% of all homicide that happens in the US is with a firearm, as opposed to Canada, where it's 38%, and 70 to 90% of all firearms in Canada come from the US. 13% of Australia's homicides are done by firearm, and 3% of the UK's are done by firearm. So the US has the highest homicide rate in the developed world, and of that, a large majority are done with a firearm. And again, you can't tell me that if firearms were illegal, that all of those would happen. Because people say, like, I get it all the time, like, if people have the intent to kill, they're gonna do it regardless of whether they have a gun. And that is just not true. It's just not true. And then you also get the people who come out and say things like, well, if people want to kill someone, they're gonna get a gun and they're gonna do it. And again, that's not happening. Your white, upper middle class accountant father isn't gonna get 6 guns on the black market just cause. That's just not gonna happen, okay? It's not gonna happen. A lot of school shootings happen by, you know, teenagers stealing their parents' guns and taking them to school. These teenagers aren't gonna be able to steal their parents' guns if they don't have them, are they? Most people who would smuggle in guns are people involved in gangs. And although obviously gang violence and things are absolutely terrible, it's not a majority of gun violence. And it stops these power-hungry white men with a god complex going around and shooting random people and doing mass shootings, because that happens way too consistently. Like, a lot of these people commenting, you know, that people will get guns on the black market are people who have guns. And to you saying that, are you personally gonna go to the black market and get a gun if they become illegal? Because I highly doubt it. I highly doubt that you are gonna go and smuggle a gun. I really don't believe that you're going to. So, shh. And then, yeah, you can say, well, I don't have the intent on killing anyone, so why would I smuggle in a gun? Exactly. If you don't have the intent on killing anyone, why do you own a gun in the first place? The only reason guns exist is so you can kill things. If you don't plan on killing anything, why do you have a gun? In self-defense. Okay. But if no one had guns, then you wouldn't need to defend yourself against a gun, would you? It hurts my head. If you have a gun for self-defense, who are you defending yourself against? Other people with guns. So, if other people don't have guns, why do you need one to defend yourself? All these arguments you have so many holes and so many flaws, and I hope that I don't know if you're aware of them or not, or you're just choosing to ignore them. People can't kill you if you need a gun in self-defense and the other people don't have a gun. Like, you know, people can't kill you from a distance if they don't have a gun. So when are you gonna need it? If someone's in close proximity to you, you don't need to shoot them. You know what I mean? Like, you don't need to kill someone who's attacking you. Let's go back onto statistics, because I was meant to be reading those and I got sidetracked because I got angry. So back to statistics. 40% of all households in the US have a firearm. The most shocking fact to me, I think, is that a lot of people are saying that if they ban guns, people will smuggle them in from places like Mexico, right? The US has more guns than anywhere in the world, exponentially, with there being 110 guns per 100 people. 110 guns per 100 residents. And you think that you're getting guns from other places? Are you serious? Second to that is Yemen with 52.8 guns per resident. And after that is Serbia with 39.1 guns per resident. You can't deny that you don't have too many guns. Why does every single person need more than one gun? You think about that. 110 firearms per 100 people, with 40% of households having firearms. That is saying that there are some households with a lot of firearms. Why? Why do you need to collect firearms? Why? That confuses me, it worries me, it's a terrifying thought, especially since a lot of people don't keep their firearms locked up. They keep them on display, which in a lot of places with strict gun laws, that is very illegal. I know in New Zealand at least, you have to lock them up. They have to be under lock and key in a safe the entire time that they aren't being used. And they're only allowed to be used for things like, hunting and shit, which I also don't agree with. But in 2017 alone, there were 11,000 gun-related homicides. That doesn't include suicides, and there are more gun-related suicides than there are homicides. And that is an issue within itself. The US has an incredibly high rate of successful suicides, and that is because, if you shoot yourself, you are going to die. There's such a large number of suicides by firearm, and it is so sad because you look at other countries and there are a lot of attempted suicides, but there are a lot that aren't successful because, they don't have access to a firearm. So a lot of the suicides fail and they're able to get the help and rehabilitate themselves. And it's so sad that so many people don't get the opportunity to, survive and carry on living their lives. It just takes one day to just snap and shoot yourself. And I know that there is suicide outside of firearms, and I know that that happens a lot, and it happens so much, and it's such an issue, and it makes my heart hurt a lot. But if we removed firearms, there would be so many less suicides. It's so sad. It is so sad. And I mean, going back to what I was saying before, like with people just keeping their guns on display, keeping them in not safe places, the amount of teenagers and things that have access to their parents' firearms who can use them to kill themselves is disgusting. It is disgusting. It's so easy for so many people to just buy a firearm. You can get a fucking gun at Walmart for fuck's sake and then go home and shoot yourself. You are literally selling death machines. That is what a gun is. It is a death machine. That is the only reason they exist, is to kill things. So you can't say that they're protecting people. That wasn't what they were designed for. They were literally designed to kill people, not protect people. In terms of things like school shootings are such an issue in the US. There are more school shootings in the US than there are anywhere else in the world by an exponential number. Absolutely exponential. And a school shooting only counts when someone gets shot. So there are more attempted school shootings than that don't even make it onto the list. But since 2009, there have been 288 school shootings in the US, with this March just gone as the first time there have been none in March in over a decade. And that's only because schools were closed. That is disgusting. Over half of all mass shooters are white, with less than a quarter being Latin American. Less than a quarter. So the fact that you're out here saying that Mexico is where all the murderers come from is the biggest load of bullshit in the entire world. That is just a blatant lie, and the fact that you refuse to acknowledge and admit that is disgusting. There's an average of one school shooting a week in the US. One school shooting a week. Can we talk about that? Because that is disgusting. How dare you be out here saying that guns help people and guns are good for protection, when there is children being attacked in their fucking school once a fucking week? So what? Once I point these things out to people in the comment section, they'll often just disappear or say that it's a right. They'll say it's my right to have a firearm. And to that I want to say, it's also my right to be alive. It is my right to feel safe in my workplace. It is people's rights to feel safe at school. It is a human right to not be afraid that I'm going to get shot every day. The fact that you have to live in fear of being shot at your school or in your workplace or just in general is so fucking sad. Did you know you could avoid that? Like, you say that it's always been like that. You know, you've always been allowed guns. Why get rid of them now? You know, and I mean, slavery used to be okay too. We got rid of those because, you know, that was fucking awful. You can change things. Change isn't bad. I don't know why you're so against changing things. I don't know why you're so protective of these things that are killing thousands upon thousands of people. New Zealand had one mass shooting in the past, I can't remember how long, in decades, last year, where 51 people were killed in a mosque. And the next day, semi-automatic rifles were completely made illegal and you had to get rid of them. Canada, they just had a mass shooting a couple weeks ago, and I found this out when I was researching for this video. Because of this coronavirus and the fact that that's all the news is talking about, I didn't even know that Canada had a mass shooting. I was not informed. I hadn't seen that anywhere. My entire feed is all about coronavirus and how that's affecting the world, and it is so important and it is so sad what's happening with this virus, and it is affecting so many people's lives. But the fact that no one fucking talked about this shooting that happened in Canada is so sad. It happened 2 weeks ago, and Justin Trudeau has now banned semi-automatic rifles. People who have them have 2 years to completely get rid of them. They are no longer for sale, and you have 2 years to completely get rid of them, which is amazing. And, you know, the US has so many mass shootings. They have the most number of mass shootings in the world, although there isn't the highest per capita, and there are places that, you know, there are more mass shooters per million than there are in the US. There's still way too many. And for the number of mass shootings the US have had, the fact that it hasn't been acted on is absolutely appalling and disgusting. Think of all the deaths that could have been prevented if something had been done about it earlier. Thousands upon thousands of not just homicides, but also suicides could have been prevented. Something I will cover in a different video, rates of domestic violence and how that happens in each country and all that sort of thing. But in terms of firearms, if you have a firearm in your house, the chances of being murdered by a partner increases by 500%. 500%. There are cases of guns being left out on the backseat of cars and children accidentally shooting their parents or accidentally shooting each other. There are kids not being completely educated and thinking they're toys. And although these are very rare, they still happen, and they 100% definitely should not happen. There is not an excuse or a reason to that happening. If you're going to insist on having firearms, at least store them. I'm not saying you have to completely ban guns, right? Ban semi-automatic rifles. There is absolutely no point in having those. Those only exist to kill people. There is no other reason to have one of those. But in terms of, like, you know, people hunt and stuff, which I hate, but, you know, they're gonna do it. I can't stop them. You don't need to carry them on your person. If you were to get arrested for carrying a gun on your person, the amount of gun violence would decrease drastically, right? Because as soon as someone pulls a gun, or as soon as you see someone with a gun, they get arrested. That's how it happens in most of the world. If you have a gun on you, you get punished because, you know, you shouldn't. Why would you carry one of those on you if you didn't have malicious intent? If you're carrying a gun on you for self-defense, that's because, you know, you're thinking about the fact that other people around you have guns and they might use it to hurt you. But if none of them had guns, you don't need to carry one either. No one has to carry a fucking gun. It is so pointless. The only reason they exist is to hurt people. And that is proven by the amount of homicides caused by firearms you have in your country. And it's like, people will say that these statistics are false and they don't prove anything. It's like, the statistics are right in front of you. And people say that it's not a problem, and they say, show me your sources. And like, even when you do, they choose to ignore them completely because they don't want to accept that guns are an issue. I don't understand how you can look at a firearm and defend it. It doesn't make any sense logically. I don't know why you get so protective over them. Why do you feel like it's your right to a firearm? What good does it serve you? Why are you so protective over these literal killing machines? I don't understand why the rest of the world is completely disgusted and disappointed in this. I don't understand why you feel it's necessary to defend them. I don't know why you feel it's necessary to have them, and I don't know why you can't accept the fact that they are killing people at an exponentially high rate and it is unnecessary. Why can you not accept that? Why do you feel attacked when I say firearms are unnecessary? They are killing thousands of people that don't need to die. It is my right to live without fear. It is my right to an education in which I don't have to spend my time learning how to hide from a mass shooter. It is not your right to take anyone else's life away from them. And that is all that guns do. No one should have the ability to kill someone on a snap decision. It's difficult to smuggle in weapons. It's difficult to buy things on the black market, not to mention the exponential price increase for things available on the black market. There would be so many less people with guns, regardless of what you say. There aren't going to be 120 firearms per 100 people if the only place to get them is on the black market. And if you try to argue that, you are ignorant. And you know how I know that? Statistics. Look at the amount of guns per 100 people in every other country. It is ridiculous. The difference is ridiculous. In all the places that have strict gun laws, there are a fuck ton less guns, like literally hundreds of millions less guns than in the US. That 120 guns per person statistic, that also includes like infants and children. They are included in that. So that's like, what, like 200 per 100 adults? That's like 2 guns per adult. That is ridiculous. And then there's a lot of adults who don't have firearms either. So that means most people with a firearm have multiple. And why? Why do you need multiple? Why do you need one, let alone multiple? People think they're cool and people like to show off how pretty they are or whatever. Why are you admiring something that is designed to kill people? Why is that cool to you? Why is it's gross. It's like a power play, right? It's like, look, I have all this. I have the ability to kill so many people. That's literally what you're showing off. You're showing off how you could kill a fuck ton of people. In conclusion, guns were created to kill. That is the only reason they exist. The homicide rate in the US is exponentially higher than the rest of the developed world. The amount of mass shootings, and particularly school shootings, is exponentially higher than the rest of the developed world. The amount of school shootings are exponentially higher than anywhere in the world. There are more firearms in the US than any other country in the world. as far as statistics have been able to collect data. Countries with stricter gun laws have an exponentially lower rate of gun-related deaths, both homicide and suicide. Your upper middle class accountant father is not going to go to the black market to buy a gun, especially not to buy multiple guns. And every argument that I've ever heard from a pro-gun person is full of holes and sounds extremely defensive, and I cannot for the life of me figure out why you are defending owning something that only exists to cause harm, and not just cause harm, to kill. Thank you for coming along to my rant. I hope that you feel a little bit more educated. I hope that you're a bit riled up and angry with me. If you are pro-gun, please tell me why. See if you can rebuttal any of these points, because I genuinely am very, very confused and very, very concerned. I don't understand how you can argue these points. The numbers are there, the facts are there. There is no positive to having as many guns as you do. There is absolutely none. Thank you for coming along with me. Thank you for sitting down. Enjoy the rest of your day. Please stay safe. Please stay inside. Look after yourself. My friend Kat and I are doing a podcast every Wednesday, and there will be a new one out on Wednesday. It might actually be the first one. I don't know when this is going to get uploaded. So either the first one or the next one will be up on Wednesday. I'll leave the link in the description for that. And I will have another video for you on Friday. So thank you so much for coming along. I love you. Enjoy the rest of your day. Stay safe. Check in on your friends. My eyelashes are crooked, so I'm gonna go fix those. Enjoy the rest of your day. I love you. Bye.